Go to TAPgiles.com to learn dreams, engage my services, and support the channel. This is purely for show though, because we want to emit blocks, right? So we could emit blocks from this based on where it is, but this actually moves because it's a follower, so that we can give it a target position to use. It actually physically moves between point to point. So like if I just for a test did that and emitted, I'll just emit that there, right above it. No speed, constant, doesn't matter how many there are. Then you'd think that maybe it would only appear at those cross sections. So if I make those cross sections big, so it kind of does, but sometimes it can theoretically be between positions. Like if you go really far away, then it can sometimes not be locked onto the correct position. So just in case, instead we're going to emit this at the position it's meant to be from this, based on this part here. So let's emit it from here, and we could just give it a position, and that'll do the same thing. Yeah, so now it's kind of guaranteed to be perfect every time a new thing is emitted. But we don't want, when we emit something on the same spot as another thing, we just don't want to emit something. Otherwise it'll kind of pile up and pile up. So what I'm going to do is, to demonstrate that issue, I'm going to, style, I'm going to go looseness. And I could use this and then make it looser, but then it kind of gets to a limit, like there, because what's actually happening is that looseness slider is being affected, and that's it, because we're just pointing at it. But if we use the volume brush and put it in the volume, then it can just keep going forever, effectively. Because it's not setting a slider, it's actually affecting the flex within this painting. And now I'll make it, okay, I'll give it a little bit of glow. And now you should see it kind of getting more and more glowy on the same spots, because like over time, as opposed to like going like that, if I stop on one place, it'll get more and more bright, because more and more objects are being emitted in that same spot. So we don't want to be able to do that. The problem is you could put like a trigger zone here, but it will be a bit laggy because it takes a frame for a trigger zone to even realize what's going on. So as this moves around, every time it moves, it will take a frame to actually scan that area to know if it should be allowed to emit something. So what I did for this other thing, I made a drawing app thing, is in this object do that checking. So it always gets emitted, but it will kind of destroy itself, or it will tell the other one to destroy itself, depending on how I want it to work. So let's do that. Add some logic to it. I'll put it in the middle, so that, yeah. So so each one of these will have a tag, and this is drawn, and I want to look for that tag. Oh, just very small like that. You can use up and down on the D-pad to go through the tag names here, And now it's looking for that, and you can see it's actually detected it, and that's why it's gone black on the front. If you go not here, then it will only find tags that aren't in the same group as this trigger zone. So if it's found a tag not in this group, then there's already one there, so it should just destroy itself. So destroyer, affect the whole group if it detects that. So, but we only want that to work right at the start when it's first emitted, because when a new one is emitted on the same spot, that will have a tag, and then the one that's already there will also, they'll like find each other and both destroy themselves. So we only want this stuff to be checked at the start. So I'm just going to stick that in there and use L1 and right to expand this out. Make it just one frame long. These are like the actual logic frames, so we can make it really precise timing. So because that's a timeline, it'll just run at the start of when this gets created and never again. So let's try that. Oh, we need to reassign it. That. Let's do that, and it'll have a red line going to it. Yeah, the center is like way off for some reason. So to adjust that center, because it's going to emit, we're giving it a position value to emit it at, which means it will emit it. So there, that point there, which is nowhere useful, will be the center of it, and it'll be off center the whole time, which will be annoying. So I'm going to like drag it over here, drag it over here, go up. I'm just going to turn this is going to be annoying. Well, I'll do what I can. Okay, you can see it from this angle. So that's in the center. I'll do. Cool, and then we have to update this so that it actually uses that new center, because it kind of remembers the center you gave it before. Might need that extra frame to check. Yeah, so you can see now, even if I hover over one of them, it's only got one of them. It actually has two, because when this is emitted, it takes a frame to figure out that it shouldn't be there and then destroy itself. So you still see that fleck. So while it's doing that, we can just say turn the fleck painting stuff off. And now you only ever see one copy, even when you sit over one of them. But it's always perfect because you're relying on the actual position, rounded position, and not the position of the reticle thing going. So we don't actually want a fleck thing either. That was just to demonstrate, so we can see it all kind of being placed in the same spot. So we're actually going to want a cube like this, and I'm just going to delete that, and then put this in here, turn on X-ray so I can see through the sculpt, and then group them up, and then make sure that destroyer is affecting this new group. And it's actually a lot easier to know where the center of a sculpt is than a painting, because for whatever reason a painting's center is very it's just who knows what's going on. So so yeah, I know that the center of this cube is the center dot, so I can put something at that dot and it won't affect the centering of the whole group. So now if I do that, it's centered perfectly in that center, and that's the center of the chip. invisible or something. Yeah. Cool, so now we've got a way of painting these cubes around, but we've got those gaps, so I think if I go half, we shouldn't have gaps now, like that. And then you can just say, while you're holding X, then we emit. So I'll get a controller sensor, put it into remote controllable mode so that we don't have to possess some object or whatever. And while we're holding X, we'll turn that emitter on. So it doesn't do anything until I hold X. There you go.
Thanks for watching. I hope you learned something interesting. Go to patreon.com/TAPgiles to learn something new every day.